All right then. This is hilarious. This article has been making news from quite a while now, 4 5 days. Some people are outraged, some people are finding it funny, but some people are actually agreeing to it. To be honest, I have only seen this thumbnail and the headline. I haven't really read it. I don't have patience to go through the random ramblings of of a liberal, because these people are notorious for making up stories in their own head, delusional stories, and then leaking those imagined up stories out to the world. I am not interested. Having said that, because there is a section of people which actually believes it, they're having a eureka moment. They're like, okay, so we have been lied to all our lives. We thought British were really evil, but this guy Robert Toms has opened our eyes. So I that makes me curious. What actually has this guy written? Are we judging this article too harsh, or is it what everybody is saying it is? I'll read the comments later on, but first I want to read this article. I want to live read this article with you guys. I'm sure a lot of you have also not read this article, because because who wants to read absurd things, especially long articles? But let's go. Okay, what Netflix's RRR gets wrong about British Raj. So maybe this is about some certain aspects that are wrong. The vogue for facile anti imperialism is far from innocent. Alright, I don't hate it at this point. Netflix is promoting a new pseudo historical blockbuster. Okay, pseudo historical, really? RRR, which stands for Rise, Roar, Revolt, is an Indian film which has been playing to the packed houses at home. Those expecting the usual Indian crowd pleaser featuring magic, romance, stiff upper lip male heroism, and improbably gory violence will not be disappointed. Okay, stiff upper lip male heroism. Okay, great. Oh man. Set in 1920s, India was in the British Empire, no surprises there, but the portrayal of the two main British characters is unusually nasty and at the same time amazingly silly. Is it, Robert? Is that what you're called? Yeah. Among other incidents, the Scots kidnap an Indian child and try to murder the mother. Happens in it's brutally tortured by sordid threats to portray British officials and soldiers roaming the country casually committing crimes is a sign of absolute ignorance or of deliberate dishonesty. Really? Were you there, Robert? The Indian civil service, the highest ranks of the administration, were regarded as an incorruptible elite, highly selected and dedicated to their jobs. In any case, in the 1920s, many of whom were Indians. In 1929, there were only 894 British officials in the ICS, so viewers of RRR will have to imagine Indian colleagues and indeed Indian superiors sitting back and allowing rogue Brits to commit murder. Really, really, Robert. Even if that number is true, even if that is true, you really believe this? The last paragraph, they were casually sitting back enjoying. Do you even know how much they had? No power. These elites, so-called elites, Indian elites, they have absolutely no power. They were rich, but they were still slaves to you. They lived under the thumb of the British Raj, these rich people as well. If similar films were made slandering other nations, they would be regarded as crudely racist. Imagine a film showing 20th century Nigerian rulers as cannibals or Hindu politicians winning, but we can't imagine such film. Wow, really? You're wait, you're comparing the British Empire that ruled over not just India. Imperialism was a disease that Britain, along with some other its allies like France or its enemies like German, it was a disease that was spread all across the world. You're calling these local terrorists or warlords, you're comparing them with the British Empire of the 18th and 19th and 20th century? Are you serious? You're comparing what East India Company did in the garb of business with these Nigerian rulers and Hindu politicians. What do you even mean by Hindu politicians? Yes, there was casteism, there was sati, and Obviously, that cannot be justified. But are you really comparing the the whole British Empire with this, with casteism in India? Yeah, why not compare Sachin Tendulkar with Jawaharlal Srinath for their batting? Because Jawaharlal Srinath once scored a half century. Oh man, this is disillusionment at its worst. Usually we shrug this off. We have played such an important role in the world over the last few centuries that we have accumulated enemies as well as friends. Honestly, the which country will most disagree with you, which country will call out your bullshit the most for these few lines that we have written? Not India. Your best friend from centuries now, America, US of A. They tried to stop your imperial endeavors. They brought the law, anti-imperialism, anti-war law, and you at every step of the way tried to get rid of the law. Oh man, this is shame. This is such a shameful article. In many nationalist myths, we are cast in the role of villains. It's way, and you're calling that it's racist. Start apologizing for things that did not happen. Did they not now, Robert? I have stood on the spot where the massacre took place with feelings readers might easily imagine. Some young Indian men came up to me. I was expecting at least a reproachful comment, but they just wanted to say hello and practice their English. How does that even. What? Because. Because we are not avenging what your ancestors did from your present generation. We know you did not do that personally. It was like several generations ago. You're saying because we are being magnanimous, we are being good to you. That's a proof that whatever bullshit you're writing in this article is true. Usually the opposite is true. I know Indians whose parents or grandparents held office under the Raj. Indeed, in the 1920s, when the film is set, India was mostly run by Indians under fairly distant British supervision. Where is this guy getting all these ideas from? Distinguished writer Nirachi Chaudhary is a distinguished writer, alright. So films like RRR do not reveal some hidden truth about the past, nor do they express genuine popular feeling. They try to stir up synthetic emotions. Absurdly unbelievable. We know that nowadays people will swallow almost anything bad about the British Empire. Doubtless many viewers in a range of countries will regard this as just as accurate as the most serious academic study. So you're telling me, Robert, that there's a range of countries that you just quoted. They're all lying, but Robert Toomb and a few other apologists, a dozen other apologists are telling the truth, and these range of countries are lying about what happened, what Brits did to the world, not just to India. But the worst result will be in India. RRR panders to the reactionary and violent Hindu nationalism. I know he is going to come to that. I know he was going to come to Modi. That is coming to dominate Indian culture and politics, fanned by the Modi government. Of course, he had to write that. How can he call himself a liberal if he did not pass unflattering comments on the Modi government? Those who suffer from this are not the British but Indian minorities, above all Muslim but Christian too, and indeed any liberals who stand up against extremism, persecution, and bigotry. In reality, RRR does not record the nastiness of 1920s British rule, but it does reflect the growing nastiness of today's India. Man, is who I can't even comment on this article. This is absurd. The kind of things he has written, the kind of stories he's making up. All right, let's read comments. Rob Toms, who are you? The British Museum. Churchill's legacy is still painful for Indians. BBC News. That is Indian woman carrying male British officer. There is a picture. Robert Toombs, who says there were barely any British officers in India and they were doing their shit from a distance. For the last time, RRR is not Netflix's movie. Na 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 na. Literally, the guy who wrote the article. Lol. Disgusting. This is filthy. Aaron Stewart on. Oh man. The brutality shown in the movie is not even 1% of the actual incidents. As the story is fictional, one about two real life legendary heroes, read about Alluri and Kumuram Bhim's real history. Don't blame the American. Some people are just defending Netflix here. It's strange. Colonizers, upon leaving, usually promote and install those who benefited most from their rule. For the first time in independent India, apologists and whitewashers are being questioned. Expect more such films and books in the future, just as we are facing the truth, so must you. Yes, I totally agree. Makers of the RRR were rather very generous in their depiction of Brits. They should have included the real behavior of the kind hearted, magnanimous, and gentleman Brits on how they were treating Indians. Here is the magnanimous Brits treating Indians so well from a distance, in Robert's words. What RRR showed was nothing compared to what they show in Sadaruddham. Brits were our Nazis, but somehow we were taught not to hate them by the institutions. Seems you failed history? Asks Jake61. Arya Isara tweets, written by Robert Toombs, who's an emeritus professor in history at the University of Cambridge and the author of This Sovereign Isle, Britain in and out of Europe. This guy is a professor. That's sad, man. That's really sad. What is he going to teach his students? What does he teach his students? I shudder to imagine. Okay, that's about it. I can't take it anymore.